So, hi, Amy. Thank you so much for joining us on the Next in Line podcast. We're very excited to have you on as our next guest. Now, before we jump into everything that we're going to talk about today, I want you to introduce yourself to our audience, share a little bit about your journey and what it's like, building a community, working in AI in today's day and age, and what kind of led you to where you're at today.
Well, thank you for having me. I look forward to sharing. My name is Amy Ingram, and I am the co-founder of Query. Query is an AI data analytics software company. And it's going to sound super cheesy, but what brought me here is love. The reason I say that is because the founder is my husband. We usually try to keep that on the down low because people frown upon somehow husbands and wives doing co-founding companies, because I think there's a pretty high percentage of co-founders who break up and have problems. And then, we know the stats on marriage is about 50% get divorce rates. I guess that's like compounding potential for disaster.
Yeah.
So I usually keep that on the down low, but I feel like this question, is truly why I'm here. So to go back a little bit, my background is not at all in tech. I grew up, my parents were pastors, and my background very much has always been nonprofit and community. I was the oldest of 5. I was always watching other people's children, and I decided to quit. I finished regular school, but I didn't do higher education, and I jumped into nonprofit, and my parents ran a soup kitchen. I helped there, and kind of evolved from there. I did more and more in there. And I married young, had kids. Then kind of wherever I was looking for community, building community, jumping in community. It was on the PTO for a few years, started a social community in our neighborhood, especially that I kind of ramped up after 2020. Between politics and COVID, it was just, I think, socially a mess. And so my heart was like, how can we bring people together? So I hosted a whole bunch of events and brought people together. And that really made me happy. So that's kind of my heart is people and bringing people together. And I, though, love the arts. So I started, I had kids young at some point. Okay, I need something else to do between. So I started doing photography. I did my classes at online class with New York Institute of Photography. And that was something I really enjoyed doing. Again, though, is a common theme. The thing I enjoyed the most about that is working with people. My kind of main thing I did was families and seniors. And even there, for a while I had like studio shots, like headshots, and I hate it because it's so technical and formal. I enjoyed the challenge of like, you don't know what's going to come. You don't know, especially with families, and just connecting with people and making them feel seen. My highest compliment as a photographer always came when people would recommend me before they even saw my photos, because my goal was always to make the families feel listened to and heard and seen and make it a fun experience. And they would come away being like, wow, that was awesome. They hadn't even seen my photos. So all that to say is I lived a pretty fun freestyle life. I did nonprofit, did my photography, and mostly focused on I always said my number one job was my family, but I did lots of other stuff. I always said I was a stay-home mom that never stayed home because I'm a high energy person. But meanwhile, my husband worked in tech for forever, basically. His last job was working at Oracle, and his dream for over a decade was to start his own software company. And even going to Oracle, he made some deals with people. He was like, okay, I'll join, but I want introductions later on to start my own company. So it was always clearly communicated. Plans changed. We didn't start our company as soon as we wanted. COVID happened. There was some personal stuff in our family that made it just not good timing. But at some point, and we hired a financial advisor. We've saved money. It was very much a planned thing, but we just kept pushing it off. At some point, it was really, I think, me who but gave really permission for my husband to do the jump, because that's a big deal, stopping a job. And we have kids. We have 3 teenage boys. We have a 17, a 15, and a 13-year-old. But they were younger at that time. But he was just unhappy at his job. I mean, he is a problem solver. Obviously, I'm biased, but he's very smart. He loves hard problems. And when you're working in a big corporate company, things only move so fast. And he was just unhappy. And here I was living my best life. I joined a surfing group. I went surfing in Nicaragua. I did nonprofit. I was just, I had a very good life. I was happy. We went on vacations. There was money. But meanwhile, he was very unhappy. I think almost borderline like depressed. And so it's Amy, it's time for you now to transition. So he quit his job. He started Query. I was involved from the beginning in the name, in the colors, the logo. We hired a marketing company to help us with like the whole initial website and the logo, like how did we want it to feel. I was very much involved with that because our product has always been, we wanted to make data analysis accessible and easy for anyone, and especially for non-tech people. And at that point, I was very much a non-tech person. So I was very much involved. I'm like, yeah, I wanted to feel like Apple,
Yeah.
not an Android. No offense to Android user, but I wanted to feel like Nike versus Adidas. Like I wanted to be sleek. I wanted to be simple. I wanted there to be few buttons. And anytime I saw an interface that was really complex, I'm like, no, I'd never use that. Like you'd use that,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't. So that was kind of the guiding force. But I was just like loosely involved, right? It was more like his thing and I helped out. But then after like a whole year pretty much of, building the product, and we had a beta version ready. And at that point, our investment money was pretty much out and we needed to do marketing and we had no one to do that. And so I'm like, okay, I guess I could try to jump in.
Yeah.
And so, I started doing online classes, trying to learn more about marketing. I mean, I've done some for my own photography, so I knew basics, but marketing for a software company and AI is very, very different.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And over time, I just got more and more involved. And for the last several years, I'm full time. So it's been quite the journey. This is not where I imagined myself to be, but I would not trade it for anything.
That's amazing. What an incredible story and journey that you walked us through today. I can definitely say that the career has not followed that traditional path. Typically, everyone thinks it's like a linear path with their career, but I mean, this story alone kind of shows that. And I feel like I want to understand, like, how did you learn to trust that journey, being that, you had so many things and now you're fully a co-founder of a company, and even in the moments where maybe that may not have made sense on paper to people, right? So walk us through
Definitely.
that.
I'll just say it was kind of hard initially. I was thinking about this question, and the term that came to my mind is imposter syndrome, right? Imposter syndrome was definitely huge.
Yeah.
Because when I realized, okay, I'm jumping and I'm going to do this, I'm like, okay, I should get involved. I started going to tech meetups and just getting more involved. And when I started going to these meetups and, really representing Query, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing here? I have no clue what I'm talking about. And I kept hearing this, like, fake it till you make it. And anyone who knows me is like, I cannot do that. I'm the worst person at poker. I do not have a poker face. I cannot fake things. Like, that's my strength, my weakness, whatever. I'm a very honest person. People have told me, Amy, you're too honest. Like, you should not. So the whole faking thing did not work for me. But then there's that danger of like underselling yourself. And I think I did some of that where it's like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. So I don't like the saying fake it till you make it for two reasons. First of all, the whole faking thing I can't do. Maybe other people can do. And I think some people can. Some people have like that just natural, like, poker face and they can do it. You
Yeah,
go. Like, just did not work for me. And then till you make it, I think is really dangerous, honestly, because especially now, maybe that worked in the past where you can like, yeah, I made it. Like I'm a marketer or I'm a software engineer or
Mhm.
and maybe some industries that still works, but not anything marketing software related because our industry is moving so fast. So if you think I made it, then in a month or a year or 2 years, you'll be outdated.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
I think that whole phrase is dumb. So I think my journey was in the beginning very difficult. I felt very much like, I can't do this. What am I doing here? But I quickly learned several things. One is I'm a quick learner. I can do more things than I thought I could. Like, I'm not dumb. Just because I don't have a degree doesn't mean I don't know anything.
Exactly.
There's so much knowledge out there, right? Like, I mean, there's so many cool classes out there. There's blogs, there's YouTubes. I mean, I did a lot of the HubSpot marketing classes and they were great. They were easy to follow. They had tests and you got certificates, made me feel little bit more official. So I'm a fast learner. I can do hard things. And just because I don't know everything doesn't mean I don't know nothing. So that really helped me. And I decided I'm just going to be honest. And I just asked a lot of questions. And people love talking about what they do and who they are. And that's a really cool way to learn quickly. And then you can also, once they share about what they know and they learned, then you can find where can you jump in? Like where can you contribute? Because that's the other thing I realized quickly is that I had stuff to contribute. I had knowledge to contribute. I had experience. And sometimes my experience looked different because my journey was different. Marketing, sales, and interpersonal relationships, that's not just like textbook stuff, right? That's lived experiences.
Exactly.
So I'm kind of jumping probably to the back here of our questions, but my takeaway and tip for other people is just be authentically you. You don't need to oversell yourself, but don't undersell yourself. Don't be cocky. Like, don't be like, I've got this. I know everything. but also don't need to be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a nobody. I'm going to stand in the back of the room. Be confidently, know that you don't know everything, but you know stuff. Ask questions, be brave. And I think that's the fastest way to learn, is just to be around people, ask questions, be humble, be proud of yourself, who you are, but be humble at the same time, willing to learn. And I think that's the fastest way. Because people also can sniff out if you're like inflated ego. No
Yeah.
one loves inflated ego, but also no one really enjoys someone who's like all weird and grovelly and like,
Yeah.
So it's a balance that
For
is
sure.
not an easy thing to do. And I think it's one of those things. I always say life is a journey. So don't expect to, like, if you're new to tech or new to meetups and all this stuff, that don't expect to like rock it the first time. Just do your best, and every single time gets better. And that has been my experience, that just every week, every month, every year got better because I learned, I grew in confidence, I grew in knowledge, and started just feeling more comfortable in my skin.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more, because as an entrepreneur myself, I feel like that's also that entrepreneurial spirit that a lot of us have, right? You gotta, like you said, like, I'm very pro school. I did that whole thing, the degrees and whatnot, but I've also worked with people that don't have it. I mean, my father's a prime example of that. And I've seen how it's shaped his career. And it's all about the mindset, honestly, like you're saying, like going into it, not cocky, authentic, showing up for yourself and bettering yourself each day and each week, because that's how growth actually happens, right? Because I feel like a lot of people get caught up in like the fancy stuff and the degrees and the this and the plaque, or it's not about that. It's about what you do for yourself, for the company, for your own business, right? Throughout, like you say, your life journey. Because at the end of the day, everyone's on a journey and everyone is doing little steps to get to where they want to go to, is how
Exactly.
I kind of look at it too. So I want to kind of shift the conversation a little bit more to this AI and data over at Query. And I know that you've been working closely with this for quite some time now, but with a strong human centered lens, right? So, how do you think leaders should be thinking about the balance between technology and human connection now, especially with AI?
Yeah, I think it's obviously always evolving, right? My own journey, I mean, we are an AI data analytics company, so we're using AI in our product, but we also use, I help out a lot with our marketing. And so we use AI ourselves for marketing and for research and for all kinds of things. We actually redesigned our entire website, and we're going to do it again. And we decided to go completely code. So we coded our own website. Well, I mostly coded our own website, so I had to learn how to vibe code.
Yeah,
And to use AI to build websites. And that was a skill I didn't have, but I do have now. So we use AI a lot. So I think AI is great, but AI has obviously limits. And because of my background where I'm big on people, I think it's really, really important to keep that in mind. It is really tempting. And I feel like I fall into that. Like, there's this curve where you're like, oh man, AI is so difficult. I don't know how to use it. And then you learn it and you're like, oh my gosh, I can do so much. I can amplify myself. I can do so many more blog posts. I can create so many more
yeah,
landing pages. I can do deep research on this and feed it into this and then create this. I mean, it's pretty exciting, honestly.
it is.
That is I do lots of things at Query. I don't just do marketing. I sit in operations and I help out with our finances. So I do a lot of different things, and some tasks I don't enjoy doing so much, but they just come with running a business. But my favorite jobs actually include working with AI, creating new pages, creating new content, and piecing them all together. It's different, and I enjoy that a lot. But we all have heard of AI slop, right? I feel like it's like we're past like AI is cool. It's like, okay, yes, that's kind of a given. People should, depending on the industry, use AI, but how are you using it? When are you using it? Why are you using it? And what's the output? And who's the audience, right? At the end of the day, well, especially for marketing, but also in software, especially end user facing, our audience are humans.
Yeah.
So is our output resonating with humans? And if we jump too hard on the AI bandwagon and get kind of caught up in the speed and the excitement of it all, I think it's easy to forget, wait, does this resonate? Does this sound human? Does this sound good? Are people connecting with us, or does this sound like AI?
Yeah.
Because I think we've all know, AI has evolved, gotten much better, but I feel like we can all pick up pretty quick, like, yeah, that was written by AI. And
100.
beyond just the M dash, right? Like, so I think use it, because I feel like it's just like a calculator. Be dumb not to use a calculator when doing really complex math, right? Don't use it to do 2 + 2. You're going to just get dumb. People say AI will make us dumber. And I think for some people that's the case. I think AI doesn't fix lazy, right? I'm sure we've seen posts where people like copy paste and at the bottom it's like the rest of the AI prompts. It's like, oh my God.
Yes.
So like AI does not fix lazy. If you're lazy, AI will not help you.
Yeah.
It can amplify you. It can make you more productive. It can make you faster, but it's going to amplify what you gave it, right? If you gave it slop, it's going to come out sloppy. If you gave
Yeah.
it very little human input, it's going to come out with very little human input. So I think we had a conversation about this just this week with our marketing teams. Like, hey, I think we need to slow down again. We need to like read over our stuff again and just like think about it some more. It's like, is this really resonating, or is this, because we have all our goals, we want to do this, and it's hard because everything's moving so fast. So we constantly feel like we need to be faster. And so then AI is so tempting because yes, you can be faster and you can put out more output, but is it worth it? Like, is it worth it at all costs to create more marketing materials if it sucks?
Yeah, that's very true.
So I think we need to keep our humanity. A lot of people says, oh, you should because it's a nice thing to do. But I think it's actually super important to, in the future, to really talk to people, especially the next generation. Like my kids, they can see AI a mile away. It blows my mind because I'll watch a video. I'm like, is this real or not? My kids laugh, Mom, like, obviously AI. We were looking at trailers. I'm like, oh, that's a cool trailer. And like, Mom, that's AI. I'm like, how can you, like, split second, they can tell.
Yeah.
So I think as we're creating content, as we're creating art and all these things, I think we have to keep the human element in there and make sure we're connecting to people.
Exactly. And I feel like that is like the most important piece now. It's like the human in the loop.
Yes.
People don't understand, like, you can't just like throw it in there and then, like you said, it doesn't fix laziness. I like how you said that because it's true. You can really tell when someone just copies, pastes, and just sends it off, right? But I do think that it's all about the authenticity too.
Yeah.
And my marketing brain is turning on right now because it's true. Like, you literally have to be authentic with using this tool because, like you said, you have to resonate with the audiences. They're humans. They're not bots or robots or just another chat, right? Like, you need to be able to connect with them on that level. And I think, like you said, with so much in the marketing space, I see it. We even do it ourselves, like AI produced content creation. We try to make it as realistic as possible, right? But these things are constantly evolving.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
with these tools too, like, people can tell when it's AI immediately, but then as they're getting better and better by the second, it's like, okay, the more you feed it with the things that you know and the knowledge, the more realistic it could be. And then you're able to actually resonate with the audience. It's about how you use it, I feel.
Yeah. And I mean, we're getting to a place where probably most things will be AI influenced. And I read a few pieces recently, like, okay, well, I can tell AI probably formatted this, but it still felt like I could feel the heart of the post. Like the
Absolutely.
author obviously was sharing something meaningful. And so I didn't mind that I could tell it was formatted by AI because the content resonated with me. So, and I think, I don't know, but I think that's where it's going to be headed. I don't think we're going back to the past. I mean, I think there are some people, I believe, like people who are writers, like true writers who are like, that's their craft. I think they're going to be in demand more than ever. I'm saying really good writers, not just someone who can write. I mean, there's some people I read that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's just beautiful. I know no AI wrote that, right? It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
So I think people who really have that craft, they're going to shine. But for the rest of us, it's so fast. We don't even have time always to read really long, beautiful posts, to be honest.
Yeah.
So what's more important is really the heart and the message, and does it resonate with people? And are you writing it in such a way that it speaks to people? But who knows, right? I don't know what the future's going to look like.
Exactly. It's changing so quickly. And that kind of goes into our next question, how fast things evolve, especially with AI and products and the tools and everything under the sun right now in this space. So, what does that actually look like to stay adaptable in today's day and age and relevant in an environment that, like we said, it's always changing?
Yeah. Well, we talk about this a lot, probably every week. We're like, man, because I think when we first started, there was no one else doing what we did. Like the concept of talking to your data, we didn't know anyone who was doing that. But we are still a pre-seed startup, so we did not move as fast as OpenAI and Claude and all them. So
Yeah.
we're iterating, we're building, but as we have been building and running into all these edge cases, like what kind of data can you load? And we've always optimized for helping people who are not data scientists with their data. Doesn't mean people who are data scientists can't use our tool, but We've optimized for simplicity and for easy onboarding and bring your data out however it is. And turn out that's a big challenge because data comes in lots of shapes and forms. I mean, multiple tabs and then headers in many different places or headers missing. And so the AI is like, wait, what does this even mean? And so we've had to do a lot of work for our platform to make it as easy as it is. So all that to say is we've been working really hard for the last several years to just make our product better and easier for users. And they can bring almost any kind of file to us now. We can handle it. But at the same time, the competition has become fiercer and wider. And we have a Slack channel called Competition. I don't even want to look at it sometimes because it's just like, it feels like every day there's some new AI company popping up that does something similar to us. What has helped us is we know how hard this field is. We know how difficult it is. AI on top of data doesn't solve suddenly all the problems. There's a lot of engineering that goes into because data comes in all shapes and forms. So we know we're proud of our product. We know what we built, but at the same time, we have to keep moving. We have to be fast. We have to adapt, and we have to what is our mode? What our mode is keeps changing a little. And so I feel like initially, we had certain companies were our competition, and then we built kind of our mode, and then people were worried about OpenAI, and then we built our mode, and now it's cloud. Like, oh my gosh, cloud is just
Yes,
like beast mode right now. We
it
love cloud.
is.
We use it a lot ourselves, but it's like, oh God. But so we have to we have to stay on top of what's happening. We have to be on top of new tech. But at the same time, you cannot be too focused on that either, because then you're not doing anything. Your brain goes into panic mode, and we have those days where we're like,
The crash outs all the
we're
time.
doomed. But then we're like, okay, calm down. What do we actually have? What is our mode? How do we need to dig a little deeper? And
Yeah.
so I think it's that combination of staying on top of tech, being open-minded, being willing to keep learning, keep adapting, but also then take breaks and put your head down, work hard on what you've got, make it better, listen to your customers, go back to why you did it, what your goal is, what your mission is, and just do better, like work harder and then keep tweaking. So I think you can't just have your head down because you're gonna miss what's happening. But
Yeah.
if you're constantly just trying to keep up everywhere with every new feature, you're gonna go crazy and you won't actually do anything useful anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that also you've talked about, you don't really need to have everything figured out to move forward. It kind of plays into your answer now, actually, to this question. Like, you're constantly pivoting, even if you don't know the answer at the moment, which is really good because I think that's an amazing approach. But you just have to be willing to jump in and learn fast and keep up with everything. So, how can professionals overcome that hesitation or fear with the feeling of not being ready or overwhelmed with all these new things that are coming out? Like, what's your advice there?
One day at a time.
Yeah,
That's my advice. I
absolutely.
actually wrote something a few weeks back on my LinkedIn and wrote a little bit longer post about this because I feel like if I can do it, you can do it. I would call myself in the past, I was the if it ain't broke, don't fix it person. And that came to hardware, software. I did not want to try anything new. I love meeting new people, new foods, new countries. I love traveling. It's not that I don't like learning. It was just when it came to tech, I'm like, why do I need a new email provider? Why do
Yeah.
I need a new app? I remember when ChatGPT came out. It came out the winter of 2022. My husband shows it to me. He's like, "This is going to change the world." I'm like a little thing that I can talk to. Like, what do we even ask it? Like, to me, it
I
was
know.
it was just like, whatever. I didn't get it at all. So that was always kind of my mindset. And my poor husband, because he's the opposite. He loves new tech. He actually comes from a family of technologists, and he was doing really cool stuff on a computer at 5. So he's always trying new things, learning new things. That's just so native to him. It is not at all to me. So initially when I got involved and started learning, it was very slow. I felt very overwhelmed. I'm a very emotional person, so there were a lot of tears. But every time I told myself I'm going to take this new challenge, and initially it felt like a huge mountain, and there was a lot of emotions. Like my emotions feel like they're a big mountain in front of me sometimes.
Yeah.
But when I finished it, I'm like, huh, I did that. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I would take the next one. And then what I realized was the next one, my emotions were slightly less dramatic and I was a little bit faster. And then I took the next challenge and my emotions kept getting quieter and my speed kept going faster. And I was just teaching someone recently how to vibe code, and this was very new to that person. And he's like, oh man, there's a lot of new things and this and this. Like, I know it's overwhelming. Says I had to learn this in a really, really quickly. And so this has been so I tried suppressing my emotions and I just can't. That's just who I am. So what I do is If I need to, I just go cry. And I literally will sometimes go on a 10, 15-minute walk. I walk quickly, I cry a little bit, come back and keep going. So, and that really works for me. Like, so obviously, I don't always have to cry. It sounds very dramatic, but I'm being honest. Some people are not like me, obviously. Hopefully there's someone out there I can resonate with. But like the pace of how I can learn right now is just so incredible. And it's been so fun for me. Like, oh, I tried this new thing. And sometimes I beat my husband to information and new things. I'm like, and he's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I know, right? So my advice is, yes, it's overwhelming and it's okay. It's okay to feel that. Just don't let it stop you.
Yeah.
Pick something that feels meaningful to you. Don't pick some random like online course for like, how to build AI agents. Like, find something that feels meaningful to you. Like, if you're trying to write better and you have cool ideas, but you feel like your writing is like, then do a course on how to use AI for your writing. Or if you're trying to optimize something, like pick something that you feel is meaningful to you and try to find something that feels somewhat manageable and then do it. Finish it. If it takes you an entire year, don't worry about it. Just finish it. And then congratulate yourself and then pick the next thing. And as you do that, you will get faster, you'll get better. Other thing, I knew that, but I really experienced it, is that our brain is a muscle.
Yes.
And the more we use it, the more it like can do things. I feel like I've struggled some with anxiety in my past, or regularly. You can retrain your brain. If your brain thinks, oh my gosh, this is scary, I can't do it. And then you do it and your brain's like, oh, I guess I survived. That wasn't so bad. And you do it again and your brain's like, yeah, that was actually okay. To now, it's like when you have a new challenge, like there's still always that little tiny blip, like, I don't want to learn something new. But then it's instantly like, oh, but the output's going to be so great and I'm going to be so much faster. It's going to be better. And it's going to bring us to the next level. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Absolutely. I mean, I see that firsthand, honestly, with my team too, especially the people that come in that are like, oh my gosh, I don't have any experience in this or this. This is a lot of information, right? But like you said, like everyone has their thing. Some people cry, some people go for a walk, some people get a snack. I don't know. Their vice is their vice, but
Exactly.
you gotta do what you gotta do to get through it. And like you said, reframe that mindset. And once, like, for example, I see it from a team perspective, I see them like, look at the outputs, look at what you're doing. You did that.
Yeah.
You did that. You got to tell yourself, I just did that.
Yeah,
wow.
exactly.
Like, admire your work, admire the stuff that you put in, because that also helps kind of train the muscle.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And it makes it so much better. So I love that. And I know a big theme in your journey is, like we said, reframing that past, the mindset, not as a mistake, but as part of the foundation, right? So how can people shift their mindset when they feel like their past hasn't been perfect, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Well, I think there's several things. One is we can't change our past. So you either stay in a mode of regrets and victimish feelings and it doesn't help you. I mean, there's obviously some things we need to work through, you need to mourn, but once you've done that, you need to move forward. And some things in our past might be a hindrance and they leave scars, but I think other things in life, they strengthen us. So if a scar tissue, maybe doesn't look so pretty, but actually it makes it stronger. You touch it, it's more thick and it's stronger. So I think sometimes the things from our past are like, man, I wish that hadn't happened and this really sucks and I feel like a little damaged. But oftentimes actually that gives us like an extra skill or an extra like ability to push through or to be a little tougher. And plus sometimes the things we learn in our past we think have so nothing to do with what we're doing now. Like, well, it's a useless thing I did on my past. Like, no, it makes us who we are. And you got to just find your journey. You got to find your place. But I think my love for people, my love for meeting new people, bringing people together, I feel like that has actually translated in tech too. Is like, okay, there's a new world, there's new things to discover, there are new skills to discover. And even like, I think some of my skills that I learned with photography, I think the most difficult photo shoots are families. Especially families. I think I would say 80% of my families come and there's at least one person who really doesn't want to be there. It's often the dad, or it's the teenager, or it's the 4-year-old son who really just wants to go play in the dirt, And so having learned to, there's a challenge and how do I conquer it? So, my approach has always been like, people first. So I'll talk to the person. Whoever is the weakest link in a photo shoot, I spend my most time on them. Just, chat with them. If it's the dad, I'll ask him about work and like tell everybody, hey guys, there's no pressure. I'm not going to shout at you to smile. We're just going to have a good time. And if it's the kids, I ask them to help me find cool spots. And like, I encourage them to be part of the shoot. So I feel like those skills have in really kind of abstract way helped me at our work because there's always new challenges. And so you have to just like go with it with an exploratory open heart and mind. And there's not always like a quick, people are complicated. You can't just like one family is not going to be the same as the next family. Like one tactic that worked with one family won't work with the next. And I think in business, that's often the same way. It's like one challenge doesn't mean like, oh, now I have it all figured out. Like from now on, every time a challenge like this comes up, I know what to do.
I'm going to do this.
So I think like just making peace with your past and then finding the things you later realize, actually, that's an asset. Like, I didn't realize that. Like, what doesn't even matter what it is. Look back at what you've learned and the things you have done and the lessons you have learned and realize, hey, I can use that for other skills that might like on paper might not translate, but in reality it does.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like a lot of people kind of overlook that standpoint. It's like a lot of the skills are very transferable, even if it's like not even related, let's say, to business and it's your personal life or personal things that experiences that you go through. I'm like, I look at everything as a lesson that it's teaching me. And, that's an opportunity for growth just in anything that you do, honestly.
Exactly.
And now, as we wrap up the podcast, I want to ask you one final question. So, when you think back to earlier in your career, what advice would you give to your younger self and also to the next generation of leaders navigating uncertainty, change, and growth today?
Yeah, that's a good question. Take a deep breath. You don't have to have it all figured out. We grow and you're going to change. So look at who you are right now. What are the things you feel like you want to do right now? What are the skills you either have or want to have, and go pursue them. And don't be afraid to change your mind. I think the worst thing I meet is people in their 50s who hate their job. And then I ask them, well, why don't you change? Oh, well, I get good benefits and I've been there for so long. And it's like, that's another 15 years of misery for like benefits. Like it does come with the cost, right? That means you would maybe have to work a little bit and save. And like, so if you have to, if you want to have a happy life, you have to take risks. It's my personal opinion. Unless you're really lucky and everything just goes your way, so go you. But most people in life, that doesn't work that way. Most things in life, I always tell my children, no, beautiful things, good things take hard work. Relationships, your house, your apartment, your animals. I mean, really anything. If you think anything that's really worthwhile, you need to put effort into it. It doesn't just magically, relationships don't magically stay long and good, right?
Yeah.
You married this year 21 years. Like that didn't accidentally happen, right? There's a lot of work that went into that. And my children, like I have really great relationship with all my teenage boys, which people are like, what? But yeah, it was a lot of work. I spent a lot of time with them. So my advice is take a deep breath, follow your heart right now. Don't be afraid to change your mind and be brave. Like you have to be, if you're going to change your mind, you got to be brave because people are going to judge you. You'll have to start over or at least pivot. But like the world is changing so fast, which can be intimidating. But I think it also opens up lots of opportunity because you can go into a space now where this is how things have always been done. And now it's changing. And then the people who have always done it this way are like kind of, some of them are struggling to like adapt versus you can just come and be like, okay, so this is the new way we're doing it. Off we go. And you could be actually really fast. So that would be my advice. I want to add a little thing because I've talked so much about how I didn't have a ton of education jumping in and all that. I do want to put out there that I think we need each other. Both, it's going to sound weird, but both educated and non-educated people. And I don't mean not dumb, right? I had education, but I don't have like a degree in business or marketing or whatever. And I think when I also mean older and younger and multi-generational and multicultural, multi-ethnic, I think there's so much beauty in collaboration. So I don't want it to sound like, oh, just because you're young and you don't know anything, you can just make it. No, we need each other. Like I think people who have education, there's something that you learn there that you cannot just, that's something I've learned. It's like, yes, I can read podcasts, I can listen to podcasts, I can read blogs, I can do online courses, but it does not replace that decades of understanding and knowledge. It really doesn't. And I think like even gender, like different genders, we complete each other. We have different perspectives, different cultures have different perspectives, different generations have different perspectives. So don't be cocky. Be willing to work with people who are maybe older than you and maybe have a more traditional view of how things be done. And they need to be,
Accepted.
whatever, need to be willing to listen to younger people and be open-minded and being like, okay, well, maybe we can do this a different way. And so I think there's that, we need each other, because like there's something beautiful about being, naive and new and fresh and full of energy, but there's also danger there that you get too cocky and that you run way off the path and has nothing, like it's way off. Versus, of course, if you're more established, the danger there is that you think this is how we've always done it, so this is how we're always going to do it, which is, of course, also not true. But there's so much beauty and wisdom, and especially marketing and business. There are things that are, there's time as old as time, like psychology and how the human brain works and how we operate as humans. That has not changed. AI does not change, how we think as humans and how we operate. So that's my just word of caution. I want to throw it, not word of caution, maybe more of a challenge to everyone. Like, no matter where you find yourself, be willing to work with other people that sound different, look different, have a different experience than you, because something really beautiful can happen when you collaborate.
Absolutely. And I could not agree with that more. I mean, I had my experiences firsthand, especially with, the generational and just also being a woman surrounded by an industry full of, a lot of men, right? To be honest. So it's like, I totally get that firsthand. And I'm the same way. It's like, just everyone needs to work together, like you're saying, younger, older, educated, multicultural, whatever it is, because I believe like you are there for a reason. You have a seat at that table for a reason, because you're going to be able to give a perspective that maybe someone else doesn't see, or maybe I don't see. So I'm always like, that's great advice. And I think that's great advice for this next generation coming up, because I'm also a Gen Zer myself. So I hear it firsthand from like even friends of mine. And I'm like, you guys just have to be open-minded, like not black and white situation. Like, people don't like living in a gray area. And I think that we need to be more open to that. Right. So I do think that that is excellent advice, and it's a perfect way to end off this episode. I couldn't thank you enough for dropping all the beautiful wisdom and knowledge today. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This was fun.